Hello everyone, I know I don't usually do these kinds of videos, but I am very curious as to what I'm about to read. I feel like this patch is going to be quite game-changing. To summarize, from what I hear, Skull Merchant changes, and apparently people are saying that she has been nerfed into the floor, basically. I don't know, I've only heard chatter, and as of recent, I've actually come to kind of like Skull Merchant, and I'll explain everything as we get to it. But I do have a member of my community that has helped me see the lighter side of Skull Merchant and the more fun side of it. And I had grown to appreciate her a bit more. So I can view this patch with a bit less hate bias. Which is why I wanted to record my thoughts and opinions on it, because I have played a little bit of Skull Merchant and I do quite understand how she works, and I'm hoping that what I read is going to be healthy. For the record, I don't condemn the 3-gen playstyle. The 3-gen playstyle was problematic. I'm not going to sit here and defend Skull Merchant. She was a problem. She needed changing. That much is very, very clear. But there were other playstyles that were quite fun on her. I am intrigued, however, to see what they do. So I am going to go through it. And I wanted to record this video. We might not even see this video. If I have uploaded it, there's good reason. It's because I have some good and strong things to say that I feel need to be shared, or people would like to see. But yeah, the main reason is for that. None of it's going to be edited, by the way, so anything I ad-lib is basically... You might hear that I start looping or saying the same thing, because ADHD brain go brr and it gets distracted very easily. So anyway, we'll just go through it, and I'll explain, or I'll share my thoughts as we go along. Anti-face camping. I'm probably not going to complain about this. It's going to be that hook timer thing that they were talking about. It's a shame they can't do much more with the UI than just copy and paste the endgame collapse thing, but hey. I am gritting my teeth because they have UI designers at Behavior, and the UI has been the same since release. Other than this, I'm not going to sit here and deny that this looks good, but I feel like this should kind of be in the main lobby now. Like, when it comes to selecting killers or survivors, I genuinely believe that they should be the circle portraits, because the new portraits that they've given suit this look. And in fact, these are the portraits. Like, just incorporate that into the... Anyway, doesn't matter. I digress. That's just a personal complaint of mine. Update the UI. I probably should have said that in the survey they did. Anyway. You probably don't want to find yourself on the hook in the first place, but it can be become frustrating if the killer decides to wait nearby, preventing all but the most coordinated of teams from rescuing you. We know about this. Basically, what's going to end up happening is, if the killer remains close to the hook, a meter will fill up, and once it's full, you can unhook yourself, even if you're second stage. But additionally, which was worth mentioning, I'm going to double check that they have done this. What they said was, if survivors are swarming the hook as well as the killer, which is basically forcing the killer to face camp, because you got like two numbskulls running around being like cooey cooey, because this could obviously be a tactic that's used to turn this system against itself, so the survivor can unhook themselves and all they have to do is keep the killer busy. That timer will not progress. It will pause or slow down, so they will never get to unhook themselves so long as the killer is so long as other survivors are nearby as well. Right, so you'll notice a new meter. The closer the killer is, the faster the meter will build. Once it is full, you'll be able to unhook yourself. Even in the unhooking yourself this way will grant you the usual benefits, endurance and haste. To ensure that this cannot be abused by aggressive survivors, the rate at which the meter fills will decrease or potentially even stop entirely when other survivors are nearby. Also, once the exit gates are powered, like once you're in the end game, this system doesn't apply. So because in the end game, the killer has nothing else to do other than camp a hook, other than face camp. So I'm very, very grateful that they've taken those two things into consideration and said, if survivors are being way too altruistic and abusing the system won't work. And in endgame, you can do it to your heart's content, because in endgame, it's fair. And people that complain about face camping in endgame, uninstall Dead by Daylight. I'm sorry, stop playing the game. You have no right to tell a killer that they shouldn't face camp in endgame. The game is over. They have literally nothing else to do. There's no point defending an exit gate, because they take 16 seconds to open, so by the time you get to the other one is open, and, like, you just leave it at 99 because they don't regress, so there's no point in pressuring them. The only thing you can do is secure a hook, and try your best to secure a kill. The only way to do that is to face camp. It is literally the only thing a killer can do in an endgame scenario, unless they have a build or a plan to snowball and do otherwise. But in Trapper's case here, he's gonna camp a hook. That's all you can do. Anyway. Skull Merchant. Now, let's see what they're doing. I'm going to read these carefully. I'm going to try and get it adjusted in my head what they're planning to do, if it's good, and where the problems lie. I'm worried because as of recent, they nerfed Xenomorph and made his power bullshit. They made it boring. They made it dumb. They made it unrewarding. I no longer really want to play Xenomorph ever because they feel so clunky and pointless. Like, why play Xenomorph when I could play Slinger, Huntress, Nemesis even, who at least, like, once they tier up can break pallets as well, even, and their power is easier to hit and everything, and I just don't see a benefit to playing Xenomorph over some of these other killers after that nerf. And I'm not saying it wasn't warranted, but they didn't give him anything to compensate. I want an excuse to use my M2, but it just mostly feels like if they're not vaulting a window or pallet / locked in animation, it's not worth using the tail attack at all. Because it's just that punishing. Like, a normal attack is less punishing than missing a tail attack. At least it feels that way. Anyway. It's been a while since the sound of drones first filled the entity's realm. Since then, the Skull Merchant's eyes in the sky have largely been used as eyes on the generators, leading to some very long matches. In this update, we are all overhauling the Skull Merchant's drones to reduce their effectiveness in defending generators while improving their strength in a chase. Okay. Lock on. Active drones, being the main culprit behind the Skull Merchant's ability to defend generators, are no more. On top of making survivors exposed, these zones provided the Skull Merchant with too much information on the survivors within them, allowing the killer to quickly react and chase them away. With active drones removed, the Skull Merchant's drones need a new way to lock onto survivors. Now, whenever a survivor is scanned by a drone's beams, they will receive 1 stack of lock-on. Upon reaching 3 stacks of lock-on, the survivor will immediately receive a claw trap. Okay. However, avoiding a drone's scanners won't be easy thanks to the introduction of 2 new modes. Okay. The 2 modes. Eyes in the Sky will now have 2 modes. Stealth mode and Scouting mode. In Stealth mode, the drone's spinning beams will be invisible and the drone will be much quieter. Survivors will want to watch closely for the lights on the drone itself to tell where the beams are so they can sneak up and disable it. Okay. In Scouting mode, the drone's scan lines will be visible and rotating much faster, making them more difficult to approach or run by undetected. Okay. In either mode, the drone's scan lines will not detect a survivor who is stationary. Effectively preventing them from being used to guard generators. A survivor can interact with a drone in either state to disable it for 45 seconds, after which they will return to stealth mode. Huh? A survivor can interact with a drone in either state to disable it for 45 seconds. Oh, after which they'll return to stealth mode. So you disable a drone, but... So explain to me what exactly her power does and how it benefits anyone or helps anything in chase. I don't... Huh? So, you could probably recall a drone manually, but drones now no longer disappear. Drones are indefinitely... Drones remain where you place them. Like a trap. They stay there. Disabled. Almost like an EMP'd... biopod. Okay, is there any more? Claw trap. Survivors who end up with a claw trap will find themselves on the receiving end of the following effects. If they are healthy, they will be instantly injured. Okay. If they are injured, they will receive deep wound. This will not grant the survivor a speed boost. Okay. Survivor suffers from the broken status effect until the claw trap is removed. Their location will be revealed on the killer's scanner for a short duration. Additionally, survivors with a claw trap who are scanned by one of this killer's drones will Be hindered for by 10% for 6 seconds. Okay. Are revealed to the killer with killer instinct on their location for 3 seconds. Do you get any more drones, or do you still have 4? The claw trap's battery will expire, and the trap will be removed automatically after 45 seconds. Okay, I need to wrap my head around this. Alright, maybe we read the rest of it and then we come back to it. Quality of life. We've also made many adjustments across many aspects of the Skull Merchants to improve the way it feels to play against her. Skull Merchant now has 6 drones. Okay, that's good. Because you... To make this in any way effective, you need more than 4 drones. Because 4 drones does not cover a lot. They don't have a big radius to them. Like, the 3-gen problem was a problem because you put it directly on top of a generator. But now, okay. The Skull Merchant will now immediately become undetectable for 8 seconds after deploying a drone. Okay. The minimum distance between drones is now 16 meters, was 22. So, why have we reduced the radius? Why have we reduced the radius? Oh, no, sorry. The minimum distance between drones, that's a buff. My bad, I misread that. The minimum distance between them. Yeah, so you can place more closer together. That's good. Okay. Yeah. The killer's movement speed is no longer decreased when checking the scanner. Okay, good. Lock-on progress no longer decays. Uh-huh. Drones can no longer be manually reactivated. Yeah, because they house a new effect. Drones can now be placed above or below other drones deployed on different floors. Right, yeah, because they'd have to be. Failing to hack a drone will now grant 1 stack of lock-on instead of instantly locking on. I don't agree with that. If you fail to hack a drone, which is an easy little mini-game, you should get a claw trap. You should get injured. You fucked up. 1 stack of lock-on? Because what? Once you reach 3 stacks of lock-on, you have to get 3 stacks of lock-on in order to get a claw trap, correct? God, look at this. This is such... It was probably quite easy to tweak a few numbers, change certain effects, do certain things. This is a bit convoluted. A bit needlessly convoluted. I don't know what they're going for here. I don't understand how this is helping. 1 stack of lock-on. Upon reaching 3 stacks of lock-on, the survivor will immediately receive a claw trap, injuring them or putting them into deep wound. So, you're telling me an injured survivor is... Right. Okay, let's have a look. Grant 1 stack of lock-on. So your power is basically entirely in the hands of the survivors now. Yeah, because that works well for killers' powers when we make it so that survivors have complete control over it. Yeah, that tends to work quite well. We'll see. Skull Merchant's footsteps are now quieter, making her harder to track behind walls. Cool. Update the Skull Merchant's chase music. Oh, have we? Okay, cool. We have reviewed the Skull Merchant's add-ons, adjusting some to giving... Yeah, okay, we'll worry about that later. Combine these changes, put the Skull Merchant's drones in a more chase-orientated direction. No, they don't! Giving them more immediate consequences when they are triggered, rather than slowly building over time. At the same time, her ability to defend generators for excessive lengths of time have also been reduced substantially. No, they don't. How do these changes help in chase? At all. How do they help in chase? So, right. No. No. Her powers don't do anything. What are these changes, man? Her power, she literally has no power now. You set up a drone. I don't understand what these are achieving. Right, hang on a minute. This is too much, in my opinion. Her power doesn't help in chase. It hasn't said anything about her getting a speed boost when her claw trap. So they have to have a claw trap on them, and they have to be detected by an active drone that a survivor hasn't already hacked. Why? What is this change? I'm really struggling to understand behavior's mentality for this change. It makes no sense whatsoever. I'm going to take the headset off, actually, because I don't need it on. I don't understand what I'm reading. I don't understand what this new ability of hers is doing, how it's helping her in chase in any capacity. So, if you consider drones as sort of traps, how is she still going to close the gap on an injured survivor? If a survivor just decides to stay injured the remainder of the game, how is her power going to do absolutely anything to anyone? Oh, they stay injured. Plague makes people stay injured, but her power does a lot more because she can spread the infection. They're actually broken so they can't heal. They have to give her a more oppressive ability that can be used at range. This does literally nothing. It incentivizes survivors to stay injured and doesn't benefit her at all. It only benefits her if they are claw trapped. And she happens to be corralling them into a zone that has a drone, unless she places one down. Okay, so they can get a little bit hindered. But they have to have a claw trap on them. And they only get a claw trap on them by getting detected by drones. How is this helpful in chase? How is this beneficial to this killer in any capacity? The thing this isn't telling us is it removing the speed boost and bonuses she gets from people being detected by drones? And even then, that's now a non-issue, because people don't get detected by drones. The only people detected by drones are people with claw traps on them. So if they have a claw trap on them, does she gain the speed still? Or is that being completely removed, because they've neglected to include that here? Or even mention it? 6 drones, good idea if you're doing something like this. Look, at the end of the day, a drone-based killer is a scouting killer. Her whole shtick should be scouting focused. It should be about detecting people and being in multiple places at once, in a way. Sort of a Five Nights at Freddy's thing, similar to Singularity. I think claw traps should be deployed by the drone, by them locking onto a survivor themselves, if they are within line of sight of that drone for too long. Right? And then the claw trap should be applied to them. She gains the speed benefits. The drone alerts and disorientates them. They become oblivious, basically, so they can't hear her coming. Perhaps they suffer speed, a gen regret. Perhaps a gen maybe isn't repaired as fast. Maybe just to an extent of, like, maybe a gift of pain. There's a penalty if you have a claw trap on you, but only one survivor can be claw trapped at a time, and the drone stays there blaring a noise, and she can reactivate them or do whatever. It's not complicated to make a drone-based killer interesting. This is nonsense. What I'm reading makes no sense. It doesn't help her in chase. Because what you're basically ending up doing now is becoming a trapper. Except when Trapper actually gets someone in a trap, he gets a hook out of that. The chase is over, he's got the survivor, he puts them on a hook. What is this doing? Can she place drones next to hook survivors? Probably not. So you can't even use it in camping scenarios, and I bring that up on the basis that why can Trapper? Why can Hag? If we're now making Skull Merchant a trap-based killer, that needs to be a part of her kit. She needs to be able to place them by hooks. which leads to scummy tactics, but then anyone can camp a hook, and a trickster can do it just as effectively. Plus, it'll be decentivized by the fact that you will be adding this new anti-hook camping system. So, I don't know, man. I'm severely disappointed in this change. Like, when people say she's dead, they're not kidding. Her power is doing nothing of value at all. What is Skull Merchant doing that other killers aren't doing better now? I don't understand what she brings to the table. And I'm not saying that 3-gen should have stayed. Obviously, that should have gone. I'm glad to see that gone. But now, what I really enjoyed about Skull Merchant personally was the whole speed manipulation thing. I ran a build that was kind of gross in a sense, because it ended up being a slug match, but it was more of a snowball game. Survivors could easily beat it by just being efficient and knowing when to go and help survivors and do whatever. But it was also a build that could end a game like that. I could snowball, win, everyone's slugged, everyone gets hooked. Or I could go an entire match without a single hook until the end game. Because it was Sabiffle, Bamboozle, Deerstalker, and Save the Best for Last. And basically the idea was, so long as someone was detected by a drone, you gain a speed boost. So long as someone has a claw trap on them, but you gain a speed boost. With Sabiffle, Rapid Brutality, that was another perk. With Rapid Brutality, you get a speed boost up on a hit. So with Sabiffle, that's shorter. It was basically smack, chase, smack, chase, smack, chase, smack, chase. Everyone's dead and on the floor. Because what you do is you down someone, you place a drone on them, you wouldn't hook them, you'd gain that speed boost, someone might have a claw trap on them, and the next chase ends like that. And then it's a snowball effect from there. That was genuinely kind of fun, and I actually really liked that aspect of Skull Merchant, where she had the ability to manipulate her own speed. So the benefit was, if a survivor gets rid of your power, you gain the speed boost benefit, and it played on that. And I found that really, really cool, because she was the only killer that could actively make herself faster if she played the right way. If she... and survivors, often, by the way, greeded loops they couldn't get away with. Because they thought, oh, I usually make this on any other killer, and then they were surprised by the fact that the Skull Merchant got the down, and it's because of the extra haste. I really liked that, and that was something unique to Skull Merchant. Now, and this is ignoring any 3-gen stuff. If anything, the threat of the 3-gen kind of helped it, because obviously you'd place a drone on a gen, and it would force survivors to go up and hack it, meaning they get the claw trap, meaning you get the speed boost. Which was a nice sort of turnaround. But this is... I'm sorry. I don't condone these changes. I think these are awful changes. They've made her an absolutely nothing killer. Combine these changes push the Skull Merchant's drones to a more chase-orientated direction. No, they don't. They don't help her in chase. They don't do anything. Giving them more immediate consequences when they are triggered rather than slowly building over time. What do you mean? There are no immediate consequences when they are triggered. When they are triggered, they don't do anything. So what you do is you place your drone down at a loop and they move to the next loop. It's the whole W key meta, which we've seen has been quite effective against a lot of killers. Artist, for example, but Artist can still hit you from a distance through a wall. If you know where to aim your shots, it's not usually an issue, but Skull Merchant will have to continue the chase. At the same time, her ability to defend generators for excessive lengths of time has also been reduced substantially. We will be keeping a close eye. Bad changes. Alright, we'll move on with the rest of the update. That was the main bulk, that's why I wanted to focus on that a lot, because I wanted to understand that, and I think that's awful. The Shattered Square. This update will feature a gameplay update to the Shattered Square map. While reviewing feedback for this map, we identified a few points of feedback we wanted to address. For starters, why did you raise these bloody walls? Made certain killers that could actually take advantage of this dog water map unplayable, in a way. Also consider, this map has way too many pallets. And usually, right, the issue is not so much it has too many pallets, it has too many safe pallets. I don't think there is a single pallet on this map. Maybe one, maybe two, actually. But there are so few pallets that aren't safe. There's like one or two that aren't safe. Everything else is a perfectly safe loop. Excuse me, low obstacles, It was possible to bump into small objects such as piles of hay or carcasses. Yep. Since these obstacles were so small, it was possible that you could bump into them without even seeing them, leading to some frustrating moments. We have done a pass on these sorts of objects to ensure that, yep. Size and layout, the shattered square is among the largest maps in the game. Contrary to its name, it isn't even a square, it's actually a rectangle. Whoa, that's crazy. Size of the map can make patrolling a little difficult. To help this, we have reduced the size of the map, okay? Turning it into a proper square. Okay. Most obstacles in the map tended to be fairly low, making it quite easy for killers to spot survivors at long ranges, and difficult for stealthy killers to sneak up on survivors. Oh. Ah. Right, you raised them to make stealth killers more effective. I see. Okay. Kind of take it back. It's... okay. Last but not least, we made various changes to the map easier to navigate. This includes making it clearer which objects can be walked on and which will block your path. That's a good change. McMillan Estate. Ooh, interesting. Okay, perk changes. Ooh, I look forward to seeing these. I didn't realize they were going to be. Our work on maps doesn't stop there. The entire McMillan Estate realm is being expanded. Each map in this realm has received a second alternate version. Really? The next time you load into Suffocation Pit, for example, things might be a little different. The trademark mine shaft will still be there, but it may be in a different spot. The shape and layout of the map might also be slightly different. Why? The goal with these variations is to add more variety to existing maps without changing the unique properties that sets them apart, such as their size, bottleneck, or choke point that separates them. Okay. I guess. Yeah, okay, I guess, because McMillan maps are very linear, but that's kind of why people like them. They like the fact that they know where certain things will be. It makes them very easy to learn for both a killer and a survivor, but without them being too strong, because there's plenty of RNG in the sense that they generate tiles. The problem with Midwich is it's a very linear map, and everything is always where it will always be. There is no RNG on Midwich, except in the courtyard, but then you don't really loot the courtyard. It's always the same, and that's why it's so killer-sided. Is it's always a bottleneck. Every loop is safe, but once it's gone, and there is nothing else. We'll have to be seen to be believed to see if that's good or not. Perks. Next up, we have a small suite, few small suites for a handful of perks. Furtive Chase. Okay. Furtive Chase is one of the lesser used killer perks, providing a way to switch obsessions throughout the match and reduce your terror radius during a chase. To give this perk a slight boost, we are increasing the terror radius reduction for each... Why? Of all the changes to make to Furtive Chase, you just buff the effect. Behavior. People aren't running Furtive Chase because it's a shit effect. Not because its numbers are low. It's because what it does is so useless. What good is reducing the terror radius in a chase? Especially now that everyone can know when someone is in a chase because the HUD, the map, the HUD updates to tell you that someone is in a chase. Okay. Background player. Why are we updating background player? As a background player enjoyer, I'm curious. This perk allows you to sprint very quickly when the killer picks up another survivor, creating an opportunity to get into position for a save. Not only is this perk highly situational, but it leaves you exhausted, which could hinder if you're chased shortly after. To make this perk more... to make sure this perk is meaningful when it activates, we are increasing the duration of the speed boost to 5 seconds, was 4 seconds. Okay. I don't know why we're buffing background player, it's honestly fine. Why? What are these changes? Who's in charge of this patch? What? Why? Why? This is a background player user complaining about a buff to background player. Why? I'm just questioning what is that changing? Why are we changing it? I don't understand. Of all the things to change in this game, Blight Alchemist Ring, why are we buffing background player by a second? It's doing nothing. Like, if background player hasn't succeeded in securing a save within the 4-second sprint burst window, which, by the way, is a perfectly timed sprint burst to have happen, the extra second is not going to make a difference. At all. I cannot fathom what this change is achieving to get in position for a save. Now, a save on a survivor either means a flashbang, a flashlight, or a pallet save. All of these leave the killer stunned, which is your opportunity to get away. To make this perk more meaningful, but it leaves you exhausted, which could hinder you if you're chased shortly after. This doesn't fix that. I could almost cry reading these patch notes because it shows such a disconnect between their understanding of how people play this game, what this game's balance is, and who's in charge. Because I just want to talk. I just want to understand what the hell is going on. Why are we changing this? Anyway. Killer tweaks. Okay. To cap things off, we are also a short list of adjustments to a few killers. As usual, these smaller scale tweaks that we managed to squeeze into various... Okay. The Trapper fills a very unique role in Dead by Daylight since he is all over the cover and is unlocked right away. He ends up being a lot of people's first experience playing Killer. Because of this, we tried to keep him as simple and straightforward as possible. See a trap, set a trap among newer players. The Trapper already performs fairly well. We don't want to throw off balance too much. That said, in higher matches, the Trapper can struggle to keep up. To assist in those cases, we have made a few changes. 8 bear traps will now spawn on the map. You get more bear traps, okay. The Trapper will receive a 7.5% haste after setting a bear trap. Oh. Oh. To make up for the setting deficit. That's good. That's a nice change. Doesn't make or break him, but that's a good change. We expect these changes to have a minimal impact in lower skill matches where the Trapper is already performing. Yeah, no, that's okay. Huntress and Trickster. Ooh. Ooh, are we buffing their reload times? Ooh. Or removing the recoil from Trickster? Recoil removal? Okay. For both these killers, reloading your projectiles at a locker is a must. However, doing so gains survivors a big head start and run away. For this reason, many Huntress and Trickster players will run add-ons of perks like Iron Maiden to reduce their reload time. To improve quality of life and reduce reliance on these perks and add-ons, we have reduced the reload time for each killer to 3 seconds was 4. I knew that was going to be the change. If it was going to be Huntress and Trickster, it was going to be the reload. Deathslinger. Ooh, speaking of reloads, the Deathslinger will find himself reloading very frequently because of this add-ons, which reduces reload time. Oh, no. Why? Oh, alright. I don't... Okay. Okay, now he's much more spammable and abusable. I'm only looking at that as I feel like Deathslinger does genuinely quite okay. He can reload on the go, he can reload really quickly on the go, and he has add-ons to make it even quicker. Making that base kit, now he can reload even faster, is very, very dangerous. I think that's unnecessary, and it might be a little bit much. And I'm not saying Deathslinger's obviously in the top tiers that needs is in need of a nerf or anything like that. I just think he was fine. I'm worried that this is just too much. It's a needless change, and it's just adding too much. Second, we have increased the movement speed bonuses while aiming down sights with the Jaw Smasher. Okay. To make the more interesting choices to consider. Okay, the Legion. Lastly, we've adjusted the Legion's BFF add-on. Okay, who gives a shit? With that, we've reached the end of this month's developer update. The good change here is the Antiface camping. Awful. Awful. Will have to be seen to be believed if this is a good change or not. We'll gloss over that. We'll see. McMillan Estate, reluctant, again, seen to be believed. Furtive Chase, shit change. Background player, why? Killer tweaks, good. The Trapper change, good. The Huntress and Trickster reload speed change, good. Deathslinger, Legion, no one's running the add-on anyway. And if you want to, then cool, it's buffed. Otherwise, I'm not happy with this patch at all. This is a big L. This is a big L of a patch. Like, the only good things are the anti-camping, which is a very good change. I'm not glossing over that. It's a very, very good change. There's that, and then there is the Trapper change, which I think is good, and the Hunters and Tricks. So those are the three good things. Everything else is either has to be seen to be believed, if it's a good change or not. Because the thing is, Behavior's map design philosophy has been horrendous as of recently. So there's every likelihood we'll start seeing the McMillan Estate flooded with random clutter and junk and useless crap just dotted around everywhere. And as a result, making dead zones of just a barrel and a rock and things like that. From what was a very consistent and genuinely well-received set of maps. Borgo could end up the same, but we'd have to see. I didn't expect this video to go on for so long, but I had a lot to say. I'm very, very unhappy with this developer update, and I really, really wish I could speak to someone at Behavior and just have a conversation with what the hell your balance philosophy is, and what encourages these changes. The furtive chase change. People aren't running furtive chase because it's a shit perk. Because its effect doesn't do anything beneficial at all in any build for anything. Buffing that by an extra meter is not going to make people start running furtive chase. You see my point? This change, this furtive chase change, is a prime example of them just not understanding a lot of what goes on in this game. But anyway, I digress. Thank you all so much for watching. I probably will make this a video because I do think it's important. These changes are problematic. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, ciao for now. Have a good day.